Good day, everyone. IT culture and the society. The impact of it on the society. As previously discussed, the seven major trends for 2017 are as follows: 1. IoT and smart home technology. 2. Augmented reality and virtual reality. 3. Machine learning. 4. Automation. 5. Big data. 6. Physical digital integrations. 7. Everything on demand. Majority of organizations and companies nowadays have taken these trends into account, shifting manual business processes to automated ones and using ICT to improve their products to and services. Among the seven trends, the Internet of Things, IoT, and automation seems to have greatly influenced present-day culture and society. Thus, it is imperative to discuss this trust in detail. Internet of Things, or IoT, Internet of Things, is a setup of devices and objects which are connected together in a given network. Their connection, often wireless and possible using both hardware, and is often made up of sensors that collect software. The hardware part is often made up of sensor that collect data, which are then sent to other devices for analysis and possible interruption. Popular examples are wearable devices such as step counters that are connected to a mobile phone via Bluetooth. An app installed in the iPhone records the results in a daily, weekly, or monthly basis for the mobile phone user to keep track of his or her progress. Capabilities of IoT. A major requirements of one OT is a strong internet connection. As well, devices must be able to communicate with another for the upload and download of needed data. But aside from connectivity, 10T should also be capable of following matter and fluorochemia. Integration across technology and business. Sensors can be used to help improve business processes such as machines used for manufacturing and production, security systems, and even simple ones like automatically turning on and off a light switch. Obviously, technology used for each application may vary depending on the complexity and use software used to interpret incoming data and sending commands of that hardware must also be taken into account. Add to the different protocols that standard used for connecting, such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. An IoT platform must be capable to integrating all of this so that the data may be used efficiently to improve productivity and even make predictions for optimum system performance. 2. Data analysis and synchronization. IoT should be capable of providing analytics to help organization in their decision making. However, for this to be effective, data must be synchronized to allow integration with all of the business aspect, including top management, operation, and even customer relations. 3. Security and service. With all of these devices being used, of all of this data being collected, a major concern is obviously security. To improve security, IoT devices are usually divided into network, and each network has a different network access, some more restricted than others. without compromising connections and system integration. A typical example is your mobile phone notifying you if you will allow a new device to connect up it via Bluetooth. Normally, it will ask for a pairing connection via a simple accept or using a more secure lines such as a PIN code. Application of IoT with improved business processes and employee productivity. It is only natural for organizations to adopt IoT. In a study conducted by IoT Analytics, it was found that most of the 1,600 IoT projects are applied in cities. Scali 2018. Topping of list are also follows. One is smart cities. Smart cities have adopted 1.0T in traffic management, waste disposal, and even community minority monitoring for the security of cities residents. Two connected industries. The oil and gas industries is identified as one of the front runners for one I0T connectivity, which includes remote access to heavy equipment and machinery from manufacturing to production. Three connected buildings project involve facility automation to reduce energy costs. Connected cars with smart cities adopting 1.0T for their traffic management. It is a longer surprising for the latest car models to be equipped with sensors and network connectivity. Majority of projects relating to smart vehicles revolve around vehicles diagnostic and monitoring. 5. Energy. Smart energy. Majority of smart energy projects focus on developing smart grids for renewable energy and infrastructure. But while things may look good using IoT, there are issues raised in adopting it fully. Texas Instruments Incorporation 2016 has identified six challenges in its implementation. 1. System requirements. Industries normally identify different requirements, especially depending on the type of industry they belong to. Those in the food industry may require monitoring of perishable goods from production of packaging to shipping, and automobile manufacturer by have the same process, but since products are different, requirements may also change. Food will require data regarding temperature levels, whereas cars will require mechanical precision. 2. Connectivity. With the varying connections, wide and wireless, as well as the different protocols governing each connections, it will be a challenge to come up with an IoT project concerning such protocols. 3. Power requirements. IoT devices need to run on batteries, as majority of these devices are mobile. The challenge, therefore, is how to extend the battery life on such devices, especially those used in critical procedures such as health, disaster management, and safety. 4. Security. One of the most highlighted issues in the application of IoT is data security. Confidential information such as patients' records or employees' profiles are considered at risk. Security also includes system integrity with malicious acts such as hacking and viruses life rating offline. 5. Development. The task of increasing IoT project may seem daunting, so one of the challenges identified is how to expand the capabilities of developers and not just experts in order to create more smart things. 6. Services. With data collected from IoT, it is important as well to determine where all this will go and to identify the platform in which this IoT application will be placed. Nowadays, cloud services offer end-to-end solution to a number of IoT projects. Automation, colloquially called computerization, having an automated system means automated business processes, operations, service provider, monitoring, and even tools. With the use of computer system, hardware, software, or both of typical cumbersome and error-prone procedures have become automated. Below are two of the common methods in implementing IT automation. Robotic Process Automation or RPA, the Institute for Robotic Process Automation and Artificial Intelligence or IRPAI define robotic process automation or RPA as the application of technology that allows employees in a company to configure computer software or a robot to capture and interpret existing application for processing a transaction, manipulating data, triggering responses, and communicating with other digital system. Institute for Robotic Process Automation and Artificial Intelligence, 2018. Para. While some may think of robots similar to those seen in movies, RPA actually focuses on computers being able to make logical decisions on the business process so that their human counterparts can focus on their tasks, thus increasing work productivity. This may not necessarily translate into hardware. Application system and software may also be considered as RPA as they are applicable to the following. Process automation, the use not only of industrial robots but also of representation layer. Automation software is capable of carrying out the daily operation of an organization. Process automation may include finance systems such as payroll, customer management systems such as online system registration, and academic institution operating offline enrollment system, among others. A school that has a learning management system will be helpful for both students and the teacher, especially in submitting requirements such as a homework research day. The typical manual procedure for students submitting their homework will be to come to class, wait for the teacher, and submit their papers. Personally, automating the system requires the students to simply log into their school website, open their individual accounts for the current semester, search the subject they need access to, and upload their assignments at the comfort of their homes. IT support management of IT infrastructure and complex system becomes easier using RPA. If part of the system fails, an automated system can immediately send notifications to the IT manager, the technical support staff, informing them of the problem. Large buildings, for example, employ an automated emergency system. So if an emergency exists, door has been opened. If a fire alarm goes off, the system will automatically detect the exact location of the open door or activated alarms, as the location of the emergency will typically be assumed to be near that point. Automated assistant. Apple's Siri is an example of a voice recognition software used in RPAs instead a machine language binary. Computers will be able to understand human language and interact with the same. Another example for automated assistant will be banks having an automated customer service on hotline. Customers call the bank, and instead of a human operator, automated assistant will respond asking for details such as service choices, account numbers. Customers will use their phone's touch keys to enter choices and numbers while the computer interprets them as input data. After processing, a computer generated report such as account balances and other information will be provided. Sensors. Sensors are hardware devices that have the capability to measure an event, object, or any physical quality that is happening. Examples include the heart rate of a person while jogging, the temperature of a room, brightness of light source, and the like. Sensors have the capacity to connect to the other devices that can keep track of the data they are measuring. A mobile phone can be connected to a heart rate sensor to record and monitor a person's health on a weekly or monthly basis. A web application can be accessed to monitor and control the CCTV operation of a house or building. These sensors can be connected to a network in various ways as explained earlier. However, there are several types of sensor, and with technology made available today, almost all of the hardware can now be automated. Sensors can be classified as analog or digital, but below as is a list of sensors used in automation. Temperature sensor. This sensor is capable of measuring temperature as well as detecting its rise or fall. This is helpful in systems that are temperature sensitive, such as power plants and server rooms. In infrared IR sensor. This sensor often used the security purposes detect infrared lights. It is commonly used along a infrared light source. You might have seen it is in movies in which a billion trying to access the restricted area would avoid crossing a series of IR sensors shown as beams of red lines. Be- Breaking or crossing the beam of red line would trigger an alarm. Ultrasonic sensor. An ultrasonic sensor detects waves such as how radars of sonars pick up sounds. A typical application is a live fixture turning on if the owner claps his or her hands and turning off once he or she claps again. Touch sensor. Through touch, the sensor activates itself and becomes capable of doing its functions. The latest versions of Samsung and Apple smartphones now have a one-touch login to access to device instead of a PIN code or a pattern. Combining a touch sensor with biometrics, users can now access the content of their phones with just a single touch on the home button. Proximity sensor. This sensor is able to detect object within a certain range even if the object is not physically touching and sensor yet. It is typically used in the light fixtures and houses and buildings. The light turns on, it detects a person is close by. This helps save on electricity as well as secure the premises. Pressure sensor. A pressure sensor helps determine the weight or impact of a certain object. Is normally used by manufacturing companies such as automobile companies in designing their airbag system. They need to create an airbag that is strong enough to cushion a driver upon a head-on collision, but not too strong and injured him or her due to air recoil. Level sensor. This sensor can detect the level of liquids, fluids, grainy or granular materials such as powders, etc. Level sensors are used for disaster risk management systems such as flood monitoring system. Level sensors are used to determine if a flooded street will be passable by light vehicles or not. Smoke gas sensor. The sensor is used to detect the presence of dangerous fumes such as carbon monoxide caused by fire. Smoke alarm show how this sensor works. With these technologies made available, it is easy for big industries, small companies, and even private individuals to use them. Besides, the design and implementation of these technologies have become cheaper, much simpler, and more manageable. Thus, the concern now it is not how to use this technology but the correct way of using it. The influence of IT on culture and social behavior. Influence of culture. Online reviews. With the proliferation of offline information, it is easy to find details on a certain movie or a book. However, with sites such as Rotten Tomatoes, one can actually make a decision on what movie to watch simply which reading the reviews of other people. If the review is good, then the person might watch the movie. But if the review is bad, then he or she might consider other movies. This trend of having other people do the task first for others, watching the full movie and informing people online in the film is worth watching or not, it is an example of how technology affects the basic human behavior of decision making. Web blogging, social media. Nowadays, food bloggers post pictures and their meals in restaurant along with a food review. The trends created a culture and of people dining with friends or family without actually interacting with them. People would first take pictures of their meals and post it online. Others during the course of the meal would even use their phones to update their offline status instead of taking to the other people in their group. This is one typical example of technology in the form of web blogging and social media affecting social interaction. YouTube learners. YouTube is one of the most popular social media sites People can watch videos, comment on them, and upload their own videos, among others. Thus, YouTube serves as a source of videos with people searching for almost about anything online, from tribal topics to more serious subject matter. This fact influences the acquisition of knowledge and learning of certain skill sets. Instead of reading books or listening to their teacher's class lecture, students would rather watch YouTube to learn the lesson. Again, this is another situation in which technology affects the culture, this time of learning. Influence of social behavior, cyberbullying, behavioral choices, especially of teenagers or adolescents, are influenced by technologies. Cyberbullying, for example, is a serious phenomenon brought about by social media. Cyberbullying is an unwanted, hostile behavior done by individuals to other people in the hope of gaining control over them. Cyberbullies can be, be classmates, neighbors, or office mates. Victims of bullying often end up with personal traumas. And since the act of bullying is done online, the attackers may also be individuals you do not know as the hide behind their internet profiles. Internet profile, also called an internet identity, online identity, or internet persona, is a profile created by internet users to establish their social identity in online communities, social media sites, and other websites. Cyberbullying comes in the form of message or image such as memes. Since messages or image can be posted anonymously, it is hard and oftentimes difficult to trace the source. It becomes more problematic if the message or image gets reposted and distributed quickly online or goes viral. Finding the original post might prove to be even harder. Victims of cyberbullying may experience the same trauma as a real life bullying victim. The difference, however, is that cyberbullying is on a much larger scale. Defending oneself from this kind of attack is difficult as most of the cyberbullies use internet personas, which, as previously discussed, may be real or not. Even their actual location may be difficult to trace. The good news is the society, communities, and the government are devising ways to stop bullying, be it digital or otherwise. As discussed in the previous chapter, the Philippines has identified several laws, including the Cybercrime Prevention Act, also known as RA 10175, to help catch cyberbullies. But ultimately, in order to prevent cyberbullying from happening, individuals, especially the youth, are encouraged to talk to their families and friends in case they are experiencing such a situation online. Involving parents and teachers in young individuals. Social media activities such as adding them Facebook may help, if not stop, cyberbullying, as they can also see any untoward incident happening to these youngsters while online. Prevent cyberbullying 2017. Netiquette. Netiquette is a combination of the words internet and etiquette. It describes how one should act online. Netiquette brings in policies for all the features and qualities of the internet, including the use of the World Wide Web, www, email services, file transfer protocol, FTP, chat rooms, and instant messaging are different types of netiquette implemented all over the world. Netiquette for social media, the use of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, others in neither a bad habit nor a good habit in one's personal life. Using social media is good for easy communication with friends and even long lost friends and relatives, but there are some netizens who use their social media accounts to discredit other people by posting or shooting ruthless words about the particular person or sharing a status that maligns one's character or reputation. Some of rules of netiquette for social media are as follows. The personalized IT rule: make sure to put restrictions in accepting friends or followers on your social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. It is not about having the most number of followers or friends. What matters is who you interact with and how you interact with them. The off-limit rule: know your limitation when voicing out your opinions on different subjects or topics concerning your school, religion, personal information, workplace, and even some controversial subjects such as politics. Knowing your limitation can save you from dire consequences later on. The tag your it rule: be careful in tagging someone either in your status posts or photos. You may also restrict someone from tagging you in their posts and photos, and always think of your safety as well as others. Etiquette for emails, services, chat rooms, and instant messaging. Email services such as sending and receiving an email from someone, professional to personal, anywhere in the world, are used in numerous contexts. Shown in the figure are some guidelines in composing an email. Netiquette for chat rooms and instant messaging. Joining chat rooms and sending instant messages, although mandatory in social media, have become a trend for users. This is especially beneficial for people working in different places, such as a person working overseas while his or her friend or relatives is in the Philippines. Instead to spending for telecom services, the person just needs internet connection. Still, there are guidelines for using instant messaging application. For instance, someone might interrupt and request you to accept him or her or to be connected to your account without your knowing who that person really is. Think long and hard before accepting a private conversation, especially with someone not on your friends list. Not everyone online may be as they seem to be. In a group chat, include only those that are in your friend list. If possible, do not give your personal information while chatting, including your photos or selfies. When in doubt, save a copy or make a backup of your conversation must log out from your account at all times, especially if you are in public place such as computer shop. You may option to customize your account setting from public to private account. Professional ethics. While netiquette applies to all netizen, IT professionals specifically follow an ethical practice as they are the frontliners, support and back end of ICT. The Association of Computing Machinery (ACM) has identified 24 imperatives of professional conduct for IT professionals. It contains many, but not all, issues IT professionals are likely to face while using, creating, and implementing ICT. Section 1 outlines the fundamental ethical considerations, while Section 2 provides additional, more specific considerations of professional conduct. Section 3 is intended specifically for individuals who have a leadership role, whether in the workplace or in a voluntary capacity, such as in organizations like ACM. Principles involving compliance with his code are laid out in Section 4. General moral imperatives. As an ACM members, I will contribute to the society and human well-being. The principle concerning the quality of life of all people bears an obligation to protect fundamental human rights and to respect the diversity of all cultures. An essential aim of computing professionals is to minimize negative consequences of computing system, including threats to health and safety. When designing or implementing system, computing professionals must attempt to ensure that the products of their efforts will be used in social responsible ways, will meet social needs, and will avoid harmful effects of health and welfare. Avoid harm to others. Harm means injury or negative consequences such as undesirable loss of information, loss of property damage, and unwanted environmental impacts. These principles prohibit use to computing technology in ways that result in harm to any to the following users: the general public, employees, and employers. Harmful action include intentional destruction or modification of file and programs leading to serious loss on resources or unnecessary expenditure of human resources, such as the time and effort required to purge system of computer viruses. Well, extended action, including those that accomplish assigned duties, may lead to harm unexpectedly. In such an event, the responsible person or persons are obligated to undo or mitigate the negative consequences as much as possible. One way to avoid unintentional harmful is to carefully consider potential impact on all those affected by decisions made during design and implementation. Be honest and trustworthy. Honesty is an essential component of trust. Without trust, an organization cannot function effectively. The honest computing professional will not make deliberately false or deceptive claims about a system or system design, but will instead provide full disclosure of all pertinent system limitations and problems. A computer professional has a duty to be honest about his or her own qualifications and about any circumstances that might lead to conflicts of interest. Membership in volunteer organizations such as ACM may at times place individuals in situations where their statement or actions could be interpreted as carrying the weight of a large group of professionals, and ACM members will exercise care to not misrepresent ACM or positions and policies of ACM or any ACM units. Be fair and take action not to discriminate. The values of equality, tolerance, respect for others, and the principles of equal justice govern this imperative. Discrimination on the basis of race, sex, religious age, disability, national origin, or other such factors is an explicit violation of ACM policy and will not be tolerated. Inequities between different groups of people may result from the use or misuse of information and technology. In a fair society, all individuals would have equal opportunity to participate in benefits from the use of computer resources regardless of race, sex, religion, age, disability, national origin, or other such similar factors. However, these ideals do not justifying unauthorized use of computer resources, nor do they provide an adequate basis for violation of any other ethical imperatives of this code. Honor property rights, including copyrights and patent. Violation of copyrights, patent, trade secrets, and the terms of license agreements and prohibited by law in most circumstances, even when software is not so protected. Such violations are contrary to professional behavior. Copies of software should be made only with proper authorization, and authorized application of materials must not be condoned. Give proper credit for intellectual property. Computing professionals are obligated to protect the integrity of intellectual property, specifically the must not take credit for others' ideas or work, even in cases where the work has not been explicitly protected by copyright, patent, etc. Respect of the privacy of the others. Computing and communication technology enables to collection and exchange the personal information on a scale unprecedented in the history of civilization. Thus, there is increased potential for violating the privacy of individuals and groups. It is the responsibility of professionals to maintain the privacy and integrity of data describing individuals. This includes taking precautions and ensure the accuracy of data as well as protecting it from unauthorized access or accidental disclosure to inappropriate individuals. Furthermore, procedures must be established to allow individuals to review their records and correct inaccuracies. Honor confidentiality. The principle of honesty extends to issues and confidentiality of information whenever of has made an explicit promise to honor. confidentiality or implicitly when private information not directly related to the performance of one's duties becomes available. The ethical concern is to respect all obligations and confidentiality to employers, clients, and users unless discharged from such obligations by requirements of the law or other principles of this. More specific professional responsibilities. As an ACM computing professional, I will strive to achieve the highest quality, effectiveness, and dignity in both the progress and products of professional works. Excellent is perhaps the most important obligation and professional. The computing professional must strive to achieve quality and the to be cognizant of the serious negative consequences that may result from poor quality is a system. Acquire and maintain professional competence. Excellence depends on individuals who take responsibility for acquiring and maintaining professional competence. A professional must participate in setting standards for appropriate levels of competence and strive from achieve those standards. Upgrading technical knowledge and competence can be achieved in several ways: doing independent study, attending seminars, conferences, of courses, and being involved in professional organizations. Know now and respect existing laws pertaining to professional works. ACM members must obey existing local, state, provincial, national, and international laws unless there is a compelling ethical basis not to do so. International policies and procedures and the organizations in which of participate must also be obeyed. By compliance must be balanced with the recognition that sometimes existing laws and rules may be immoral or inappropriate and therefore must be challenged. Violation of a law or regulation may be ethical when that law or rule has inadequate moral basis or when it conflicts with another law judged to be more important. If one decides to violate a law or rule because it is viewed as unethical or for any other reason, one must fully accept responsibility for one's action and for the consequences. Accept and provide appropriate professional review. Quality professional work, especially in the computing professions, depends on professional reviewing and critiquing. Whenever appropriate, individual members should seek and utilize peer review as well as provide critical review to the work and others. Give comprehensive and thorough evaluation on computer system and their impacts, including analysis of possible risks. Honor contract agreements and responsibilities. Improve public understanding and computing and its consequences. Computing professionals have a responsibility to share technical knowledge with the public by encouraging understanding and computing, including the impacts of computer system and their limitations. This imperative implies an obligation to counter any false views related to computing. Access computing and communication resources only when authorized to do so. Theft or destruction of tangible and electronic property is prohibited by imperative harm to others. Trespassing and unauthorized use. A computer or communication system is addressed by the imperative. Trespassing includes accessing communication networks and computer system or accounts and or files associated with those systems without explicit authorization to do so. Organizational leadership imperatives. As an ACM members and organizational leaders, I will articulate the social responsibilities of member of an organizational unit and encourage full acceptance to those responsibilities. Manage personnel and resources to design and build information systems that enhance the quality of working life. Acknowledge and support proper and authorized uses of an organization's computing and communication resources. Ensure that users and those who will be affected by a system have their needs clearly articulated during the assessment and design of requirements. Later, the system must be validated to meet requirements. Current system users, potential users, and other persons whose lives may be affected by a system must be have their needs assessed and incorporated in the statement of requirements. System validation should ensure compliance with those requirements, articulate and support policies, and protect the dignity of users and others affected by a computing system. Designing or implementing systems that deliberately or inadvertently demean individuals or groups is ethically unacceptable. Computer professionals who are in decision-making positions should be verify that systems are designed and implemented to protect personal privacy and enhance personal dignity. Create opportunities for members of the organization to learn the principles and limitations of computer system. Compliance with the code. As an ACM member, I will uphold and promote the principles of this code. The future of the computing profession depends on both technical and ethical excellence. Not only is it important for ACM computing professionals to adhere to the principles expressed in this code, each member should encourage and support adherence by other members. Treat violations of this code as inconsistent with membership in ACM. This code and the supplemental guidelines were developed by the Task Force for the Revision of the ACM Code and Ethics and Professional Conduct. Ronald E. Anderson, Chair General Engel, Donald Gutterbarn, Grace C. Herdlin, Alex Huffman, Bruce Javier, Deborah G. Johnson, Doris K. Leake, Joyce Curie, Little Diana Martin, Don B. Parker, Judith A. Perrol, and Richard S. Rosenberg. The task force organized by ACM, SIG, CAS, and funding must provided by the ACM, SIG discretionary fund. This code and the supplemental guidelines were adopted by the ACM Council on October 16, 1992. This code may be published without permission as long as it is not changed in any way and it carries of copyright notice. Copyrights 1997 Association for computing machinery incorporation.